When we talk about politics in America, one of the things that I find, especially with being black in America, is we have this thing of Republican versus Democrat, right versus left, red team versus blue team, conservatism versus liberalism. And my problem with this dichotomy is that I think the world is more complex than just right versus left, liberal versus conservative. And I have my issues with the fact that there's a two-party system. Even though we have other political parties in the United States, everything is either you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, when I think politics, just like life, is nuanced and complex. The one thing I don't like about politics in America when it comes to black people, or in the United States when it comes to black people, is we, how do I say this? And I'm at a loss for words, but I do want to keep this going, is when it comes to being black in America, and when there's a black conservative that tries to sell us on the virtues of voting Republican or voting for a conservative candidate or a conservative issue, they never give you the virtue of conservatism. They always tell you the evils of the Democratic Party, or they always refer to the Democrat Party as a plantation, which to me doesn't really help the position. Really, what they do is this: they teach, don't look at us, look at those evil Democrats, as opposed to what is the virtue of linking up with a conservative candidate or voting Republican or whatever the case might be. It's never done from a place of these are our virtues and they're better. It's those guys are racist over there. We're not the real racist. It strikes as, it's not a fruitful argument. It's a bad argument. It's a bad place to come from. Not pointing out your virtues, but pointing out the flaws in the other side, which doesn't really help your case. And then another thing that kind of grinds my gears when it comes to the black conservative is anytime a white conservative person, celebrity, pundit, official figure gets in some type of legal trouble, or not legal trouble, but they commit a racial faux pas, or they came off racially tone deaf, or they were considered racially insensitive and they're on the verge of being canceled, what they do is they trot out the black conservative to speak on their behalf. They get that person to speak on their behalf, instead of just, hey, taking the talking to like a grown-up, or saying, hey, this isn't cool, cancel culture's not cool. Instead, what they do is they trot out the black person to speak on them. See, I'm not racist because he thinks the same way I do. And usually that's the only time that, you see a black face amongst the Republicans or the conservative party. They're there to provide some type of social cover, or, for lack of a better way of saying it, it's like the black conservative becomes the white dude's inward pass. And that may be inaccurate, but that's how it comes across. So I'm not against you if you say, hey, I think there are some ideas that we can do to make America better, or the United States a better place for everyone or for the majority, if we follow certain conservative principles. That's fine. My problem is that the only way you don't do that, I think a lot of times what happens is that the black conservative kind of just goes, but those Democrats, those liberals, even when you refer to someone as a liberal, it comes off like you're name calling. It comes off like an insult or a diss. When in reality, why not stand on your virtues without tearing someone else down? That's my only issue with the black conservatives. If you all laid out what you were about, as opposed to them other folk is racist. If you could bring that level of conversation and discourse to the conversation, rather than just being the the white conservatives' shield, political or social shield, to save them from any type of scrutiny or any type of attack or any type of perceived perceived smear on their name or their reputation. That's the only way I see it. If that white conservative committed something that was racially insensitive or committed what I call a racial faux pas, let him stand out there by himself. Let him take that tongue lashing or that ass whooping. Let him wear that like the man that he is. The strong, God-fearing, gun-toting man that he is. You black conservative, I would just say, explain your position. Now, me personally, I don't consider myself liberal or conservative. Or there are some issues I have conservative views on, and there's some issues I have liberal issues on. But I would say I'm more of a politically non-aligned person. I am a political atheist, not atheist, but I'll say I'm more politically agnostic at this point, meaning I understand the importance of voting. I understand the importance of making your voice heard and writing your congressman or writing your mayor or getting involved in civic issues. But the moment you say you make every issue a liberal versus Democrat issue, I think you've lost in my book. I can't hear what you're saying anymore because you're too identified with one side over the other. When being black in America, I don't know about any immigrants, but being black in America, in a lot of ways, I think black people are politically homeless. We just trying to get in where we fit in. But that's a whole other conversation. Just my 2 cents.